Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Father Talks podcast. I am here with a very special guest, Mr. Oscar Pena of the Daughter podcast. Oscar, thank you for coming on the show, man. I am so excited to have you here. Listen, I'd like to give my guests a few minutes on the floor where you can talk about what it is you're doing and what's great, what's new. So the floor is yours, sir.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much for having me on the show with you. It's an honor to just sit down and I've been listening to your stuff and I'm like, man, I want to have a conversation with Michael and I'm here. So this is really
It's the
cool.
same, man. It's like I followed you on Instagram and that I'm looking, I'm like, man, okay, this is somebody I need to talk to. You know, granted, my girls are grown up,
Yeah.
but you can never stop learning. So, but again, tell us about the show.
Yes, sir. So I'm Oscar Pena. I'm the host of the Daughter podcast. First and foremost, I am a husband of 22 plus years. Don't ask me how, but it's still there, so that's good. And I'm a father of three beautifully crazy girls, 13, 10, and 5.
Woo.
And yes, sir. And so with that, at some point, and I'm sure we'll get into it today, but I got to the point where I realized I wasn't doing enough, and I needed to shorten the learning curve. And that's essentially how the show got started. And now I get to sit and talk to people and talk to dads, talk to daughters, talk to anybody that'll talk to us about how to be a better dad. So my show is not necessarily a parenting show more than it is a area where men can get information to figure out how to be better every single day, because we want to show up as best as we can every day.
Right. And as fathers, we need more of it. We need more of it. We need more resources. I talked to a young lady the other day and man, opened my eyes so much on, basically parenting styles, attachment styles and everything, and how we develop our children, plays a lot into the adults they become.
Yeah.
So dad's love, mom's love, always being a safe place for our kids, builds the type of attachment they'll have rather when they become adults, and then the relationships, so if I will tell you, speaking for me, I had to learn a lot of this, on the fly. I didn't have any guidance, I didn't have any people who could really tell me how to be a good girl dad, and I can tell you right now, it has been an up and down road, but I will tell you that my girls come to me when they need life advice.
Yeah.
So they don't come to me so much as, for hugs and kisses and things like that. At least not all, my younger daughter, yes, she will. But when they need real life advice, I'm the person that they come and talk to. That, hey, listen, I'm struggling with this. This is going on in school. This is going on with that. These are, and it's cool, but sometimes, especially now that I've gotten older, I've gotten soft, it would be nice for my daughters to call me up and just say, hey, hey, Dad, I love you. I just wanted to tell you. Yeah. I'm like, all right, and obviously because I'm a hard ass, I got to play like I don't want to talk to them about it.
Right.
Like, what are you calling me for? But outside that, man, being a girl dad's been great. Just seeing them grow up, develop into the young women that they are, I feel considerably blessed, so, but let's talk about your girls. So what are they into? What's their sports? What do they love?
Oh, man. My oldest seems like she's into everything. She's like the girl, right? Like she likes the fashion, she likes, all that stuff. And she's 13 going on 14 now, so that whole stage of like newness is happening, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing about her and I, as I mentioned many times, is how much she's teaching me.
Right.
Right. I mean, every minute of every day, she's literally teaching me how to be a dad that minute. And then I get to go back to her younger siblings and be better than I was for her.
With her, right.
And that's the raw end of the deal for her, right? Like it just is. But our oldest kid is in service of their siblings, whether they like it or not. And then ultimately they become a little bit in service of us as parents because we don't know what we're doing.
No.
Right. And they're teaching us how to do that.
I'm the older sibling. So
there it is.
I know
Yeah,
this.
same here, by the way.
It's a standard. It's a
Yeah,
standard. Whatever
absolutely.
you do wrong, now it's like, oh my God, well, don't be like your brother.
Right. I mentioned this before. I think I mentioned it to my mother one time, and she didn't really like it. But I was like, "We're the draft, right? So, the oldest one is the draft. Like you have a rough draft, and then with the other ones, you now have a cleaned up version of what you're trying to do because
Right.
it didn't work here or it did work here. So they're getting a better version. So she's awesome, and I try to make a point to make sure that she knows that she's not only appreciated because I love her and she's just beautiful in and out, but also that she's in this unchosen job of teaching me and her mother how to be better parents every single day,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
And
and
so
I
I try to make it a
understand.
point to do that.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, man, listen, always be a team. And this is something again, man, that I had to learn on the fly. Don't get yourself in the situation where you're the only parent parenting, you know, and like so mom gets to be the cool guy and dad gets to be the executioner.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, it we have to be on a level playing field because I've found that through my own experience that that becomes the person who your kids see you as.
Hmm.
So if they cut up with mom, oh, wait till your dad gets home, or wait for this, or you're not doing your homework. Oh, I'm telling your dad.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh no, no. If I
No,
had to do it all over again, it would definitely be a 50-50. Making sure that I wasn't always the hard ass. So you always want to be on the same page and never let your kids see you fight about
right.
your kids.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah,
Because I mean, we all see it as parents. Like if you become that person, then the kids easily start to try to separate, right? Come in
yes, sir.
between, like, oh well,
Yes,
mom
sir.
said this. No, man. The good thing that I think, one thing I'm proud of, my wife and I were married we're together without children for over 8.5 years before
Okay.
my first daughter got to us, and so we we kind of grew up together, right? Like in a couple as a couple, but also as people, we just grew up
Right.
together. And I think when my daughter got to us first, I may have not have done a good job at it, but ultimately I got to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, like I love you and your sisters, but your mother's first. So
Yes.
that's first and foremost, right? Your mom's
I
first.
love that. I love that.
And you should have seen the faces I got the first time I physically said that to them.
Yeah.
Right? I said, no, no, your mom comes first, not you, your mom. It was hilarious, actually. I wish I had a camera just to capture that. Only because it's not something that is a norm. Like right? Like you're supposed to do everything for your kids, and guess what? We do, right? We do everything that we possibly can for our kids. But she comes first. She chooses me every day somehow, right? That's a big deal. They are our children, and they're kind of stuck with us. But she doesn't have to be, right?
Exactly.
And conversely, I choose her every day, and we have to show them that. So that's first and foremost. And then I this is also a work in progress. First thing I'll say, Mike, as we have this conversation, and I say this on my show all the time, I'm in the trenches, not in a pulpit, right? I'm not trying to talk to people like you need to do this. I'm literally saying, hey, bro, this is what I'm doing, right, wrong, or indifferent. Hopefully, you take something from it, right?
Exactly.
And so looking at my wife coming first, I've gotten better at it. It's still a hard thing to do, and I'm sure you can relate. I first, if something comes up, I'm like, "What's your mom say? Did you ask your mom
There
already?"
you go.
Right?
Yep.
And then
Yes.
if they give me something, if my wife's around, I'll kind of give her a look like, "Give me some confirmation here," right?
Yeah.
Because you know, I'm very blessed to tell you that up to this point, I think we've created an environment where my daughters don't have to lie about things.
Right.
I hope and pray that that is the environment we continue. But in the meantime, I'm like, what did your mom say? My mom, I haven't asked mama. All right, well, here's my answer. And my wife and I have started to do better at where she'll say, well, what did your dad say?
Yes.
Right. And that way they can see, like, no matter what they're doing, they can't pin us against each other.
right.
And
And that's where a lot of husbands and wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever, it's a communication breakdown, and they don't consult each other, or they make decisions without saying, hey, you know what, maybe I should talk to your dad because maybe he might not be okay with this, you know. So, and once mom's already said yes, then you can't be the bad guy, or
yeah.
you can, but then you are definitely the bad guy
Well,
if you say
and I've
no.
done that. I've done
Okay.
that very very few now. But if I go off on a hinge, and I'm like, no, no, you can't do this, and they're like, well, mom said I could. I'm like, fine, you know, I'll
Yeah.
like let it go. But there is times where I'm like, I don't care what mama said. This is not happening right now. And
Right.
then you know, sometimes you know, easier than other times. But my wife and I will have a conversation, make sure that, or at least to explain why I would overstep on her,
Right.
right?
Right.
And vice versa. So and it's kind of nice because we've had this relationship where we can have that conversation, and it doesn't necessarily get nasty. It's just a conversation to say, hey, I didn't realize that you had said this and this and this, but these are my reasons why.
Right.
And conversely, she can say, I actually didn't think of that. Okay, fine. We'll talk next time before we say yes. Those kinds of things. So it's all about communication, man. It's a work in progress. Like I said, it's
Yeah,
never
and
perfect.
right, and I was gonna say it'll never be perfect no matter what you do. You know, you can write 1,000 books, and kids will find a way to prove what you said wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they will find a way to prove it wrong, or they'll find a way to, you know, completely make it irrelevant to, like, and it's crazy, man, because my girls are similar and so different at the same time. You know, my middle daughter, she is a free spirit, man. She just goes with the flow. She's the person you want to come to, where she will literally help you through any emotional issue. She's
Mm,
the person who also wants to bring every cat or stray animal that she finds home.
yeah. Okay.
Always. You know, then I've got a perfectionist who blames me for it somehow. Well, you know, I've always got good grades because, you know, you're a perfectionist. I'm like, obviously, you never saw my grades growing up because I was definitely not a perfectionist, you know. But and it's crazy, you know, because again, I've learned a lot of things recently that I
Hmm.
never thought about as a father raising young girls, you
Okay.
know, because like, okay, for instance, we always want to call our daughter our princess,
Mm,
you know, and give her everything she wants and everything. But I've just learned recently, yes, it's great for that, but you are setting the next man in her life up for
right.
absolute failure
Right. Right.
because we want to baby our girls, we want to spoil them and love them, and you know, treat them like princesses. But that's how we are going to treat them. That's
Yeah.
not how, you know, that their relationships are going to be. There's going to be expectation, you know, in a relationship. Whereas, you know, you as a father, you just have to love them for, you know, good, bad, or you know, whatever. That's something I just learned.
I would give you I'll give you a little bit of an argument in there.
Okay.
I I do see the the issue of creating a princess, let's say, just whatever that could mean, right?
Right.
For many people. Um the argument I give is, so I kid you not, I think I've used that word maybe two times in 13 years until my daughter's 13, right? But I've used it in a different connotation. And there's this poem that was written by this lady. Can't remember her name, but she's like all the wild places, I think is her hashtag on Instagram. Um, her husband is a Navy leader that I follow and whatnot. But anyway, so she wrote this poem that ultimately he took for his daughter, right? And I won't try to paraphrase it. It's longer, and I'm a knuckle dragger, so I don't remember it as well. But I will say that it's something that I truly relate to, in the sense that I'm not raising princesses. I want them warriors at heart. I want
Right.
them to be kind, not nice. I want them to like be able to do all the things that they can and
Yes.
then not need to do them, right? Like I
Right.
want that man in their
You want her to
life.
have the ability to, but
Yes.
also she can make the choice to.
Exactly. And I don't think that I don't think, and I have no problem with the whole princess thing. Like that's just the way that my house runs, right? Like I don't think that a princess mindset would carry that. in my mind, Princess mindset is like, well, people do things for me,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Whereas what I want to build in my daughters is capability and then compatibility, right?
Right.
And I want them to be able to do anything and feel confident to do anything. And yet I don't want them to have to do anything. Case in point, I teach them how to change a tire. Can they turn the wrench right now? They can't. Even my 13-year-old has a hard time. But I want them to know how to do it. And if they ever have a boyfriend and I find out they didn't change the tire for them, we're gonna have
Yes.
a problem because I
Yes.
want that boyfriend to take care of that.
Because that because I don't believe in male female roles, but I do believe that each one of us should be able to contribute to
Yeah,
whatever it is we have going on.
right.
So if I'm out changing a tire and my wife decides, my daughter decides she wants to help, cool,
Yeah,
because she knows how to,
that's right.
you know. But it shouldn't be, well, it's my dad's job, or it's a man's job to do this, that, and the third.
Right.
Like, for instance, I'm the resident chef in the house. Okay. And while my wife probably could cook, but I'm the better cook,
There you go.
and it's not a problem. I like to cook for the family and everything, but each one of my kids, now that they're off in their own world and their own lives and whatnot, have become the resident chefs in their, prospective families and that,
Right, right.
so, but it's a choice. It's not something they have to. It's just something they choose to.
Well, it's just slightly redefining what masculinity looks like. Is really
Yes.
what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm proud of my masculinity. I can do hard things and do the man stuff, but I
Yes.
also cook and I also go and do the things that need to be done in the house. It's not a split outside inside and
Yes.
his and hers. It's just what I tell my daughters here is, hey, you're part of this team. Whatever this team is, you're part of it. So if there's something to be done, I don't need to tell you. Just do it. Just
Yes.
like I would do it or your mom would do it, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
And it's just ensuring that they see one how I treat my wife, how I treat our household, and ultimately how I want them to be treated as well. And I
Right.
think we can put that in the bucket of this is what masculinity looks like. That's my opinion. Um, and in the past, um, and in some households, it's different, right? They're like the man sits down, waits for his food. That doesn't happen here. Like I
Yeah.
just that's not what I want to do,
Yeah.
right? And it's
And
just I think it's slightly redefining some of these things. And for the record, I don't believe in toxic masculinity either. I think there's toxic people
thank you.
all over the
Thank
place,
you.
right? But it's just a masculine or feminine trait that we all can do. And I'm better at some, and my wife is better at others, and we're we're just a team. We're working to give our daughters the best possible way forward, critical thinking skills, ability, capability, and compatibility. That's what we're trying to figure out.
And that having two people work towards the same goal is, I cannot stress to you enough how much better your daughters will be off for it. Because for me, after me and my ex split, our three older daughters, were with me most of the time. But I always had somebody working against me and I wasn't trying to poison my kids against their mom, but these are the things that I wanted for my daughters. I grew up in a household with a strong female. My mother was very strong. She did a lot of things that, traditionally women did. My dad was a horrible cook. Okay. So thank God my mom did cook, or everything would be ramen noodles, you know. But I grew up in a household where there were strong women, and I wanted that for my daughters. Whereas me and my ex, we fought a lot, you know, and I think we ended up creating a space that wasn't really safe for our kids to talk or express whatever, because there was there was just the conflict. So, and I learned through parenting classes and this, that, and the other thing, that, what, if you cannot say something positive about that other parent,
Hmm.
say nothing at all.
Yeah.
If your kids are having an issue, with your other parent, with that other parent, be there to listen. And I would tell my girls a lot, listen, I can't advise you on this because I don't know if I can be objective because of
Mm.
your mom and I situation. But I will try to guide you in the best way forward as I can.
Mhm.
You know, and so and I say that to get back to you and your wife, because you guys are such a good team. You are setting a great foundation for your girls. For it to be drama free, for them to be, the best version of themselves that they can be, because they
Mhm.
have two people on the same page on their team.
Yeah.
So,
When it doesn't happen every day, like I said, it's literally a work in
oh
progress.
no, no, and I wouldn't expect it to, but from what it sounds like so far, you guys, I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing great.
I haven't gotten fired, brother. I'm still
Yeah.
here. So
Hey, 22 years, you got to be doing something right,
something, right?
right?
Yes, sir.
So, what's what's been the most unexpected thing for you as a father of three girls?
Oh man, the softening,
Yeah,
100%. You know, I I often say that God knows what He's doing. Although I never, to a fault, I never kind of formalized my thinking about having children. I was just kind of like, okay, I mean, 8.5 years, we probably should have a kid. Like it was kind of like this is the next step, but I didn't fully introspect that, right? So I never sat down and said I want a boy or a girl. Like I just never went through that process. And in having my podcast, I've learned that some men do that, and I kind of wish I've done that a little bit, right? Because they were more ready to be present, where I was just kind of like, well, we'll just deal with it when it gets here, kind of thing. It no, hindsight's 2020, right? With my oldest daughter, I mean, I sucked, dude. Like I sucked, and I'm talking about like I'm gonna be um rough, not rough, excuse me. I'm gonna be strict and like all these things in my mind because I wanted her to be tough and like do all these things. And quickly, I mean, just even holding her, like she just softens your heart, right? I didn't expect that. I just didn't expect that. Um, but if I think about that, I thank God that I didn't have a boy because that boy wouldn't have enjoyed me. I wasn't ready. I wasn't thinking about fatherhood like I should have. And had I had a boy, which I assumed I just would know how to raise a boy because I'm a boy. So I was just like, I'll just do what I got done. Like walk it off, run some dirt on it, stop crying, like whatever. And it's whatever. It's wrong or right. You guys can make the decision and throw us some hate. I don't care. I'm just saying that was the stage, right? And so when I look at that, I'm like, man, she softened me. She made me second think my my words or my actions because I'm like, no, I think I should think about that real quick, right? My voice, the way I raise my voice, and the way she would look at me, or like these little things. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen if you had a boy. I don't know any different, but I do wholeheartedly believe that had I had a boy, especially first,
yeah,
I wouldn't be where I'm at as far as the learning to father better. I would have just assumed like this is what I'm supposed to do with the boy, right? Um, and just the softening, man. That all three of my daughters, it almost felt like they each had their time in the punching bag of my heart. Like that's really what it feels like, right? The first one did a little bit, and then we kind of figured out how to groove together. And then the second one came in, she had a little bit, like, and then so every single time you change, and as you know, they're all so different, and you have to figure
yes,
everything out as they come. So
so
to me,
many
the
different personalities.
absolutely, yeah, and to me, that's probably the biggest thing that I just didn't expect. Like I just, you're a knucklehead. You're like, all right, this is who I am now. I'm an adult. Like, let's do this. But that's not it. Just you and I talked about it. It's about growth. And the moment you realize that you have so much more to learn, it doesn't get easier, but you start to find the resources.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, and I can tell you, man, listen, again, my oldest daughter is 34, and thinking back, there are so many lessons that after her, my next daughter, it was so much easier, different. And my kids will tell you that, oh, dad's got his favorites. It's not that I have my favorites. I just have different relationships with my kids, you know. So, sometimes, like with my oldest daughter, we play Xbox together all the time. Whereas my other two girls, they weren't into video games at first.
Right.
So I had to learn their other interests, you know, and that's, I think the most important thing that I've learned is being present, for them in everything that they do, even if I don't understand at all what the hell they're talking about. It's being present and asking questions. Like when my boys play football, no problem. I
Right.
got this
Easy
all
peasy.
day.
Right.
But my daughter plays softball. I'm like, I don't know shit about softball, but all right, let's here goes those internets, and we'll figure it out. And just being present, man. Cheering her on like I was at a football game or any other place. Just being there and knowing that, hey, I'm in your corner, no matter what it is that you need. I am here for you. The girls will tell you, hey, Dad used to yell all the time. They always remember getting yelled at, but they never remember the time that. Oh, they definitely remember the time I lit fireworks off in their room and stuff, just because hey, all right, well I'm up first. Everybody's still sleeping. Let me find the most obnoxious way I can wake everybody else up.
Man.
You know, but it's and it's my kids are they're well. I think they're pretty well off kids. I've only got one grandkid right now because everybody's still trying to figure it out. My boys are the only people married right now. The girls are unsure. They're taking more time to figure it out than the boys did. So my two older boys have both been married. Jonathan, actually, my middle son's been married the longest, but my oldest son has been married 2 years now, and he's still trying to figure it out. But I think that they've taken what they've seen, with me and my wife, that they've taken all that information and like, hey, all right, this is how things are supposed to work. You know, this is how we communicate. This is how we screaming and yelling doesn't get us anywhere,
Right.
and that's where they would get that from me because I'm the more I don't know. It's not passion. It's just I'm just mad. I'm
Yeah.
just mad.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the kids are pretty well balanced. And that's really that's what you hope for. Whereas a lot of their kid, the friends that they went to school with, rather, you know, they've got 3 and 4 kids, man. Been divorced once or twice by now.
Right.
And I'm like, shit. I guess I did all right because none of them are in jail, none of them are pregnant, none of them are on
Yeah.
drugs,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, in today's standards, you've been successful.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
It, and I think that you said that correctly in today's standards, but one thing that I hope to do is to raise the standard, right? And I hope
yes,
to bring other men at the same tone to
yes,
say, "Hey, let's raise the standard. Let's see what we can do if we raise the standard." And the thing is, man, the more and more I've been doing this now, the more and more I feel like it's just incredibly important.
yeah,
And
yeah,
raising boys or girls, either way, I again, my lane is girls, right? But raising my daughters means raising my daughters well and giving them what they need, checking my actions, as you were mentioning. I mean, you know, it's easy to go off the handle, but it's hard. It's hard to control and then let them see calmness. It's hard to do that. But why not raise that standard, right? But ultimately, in the long run, I want them to be the calm person in chaos. I want them to be able to do the things that other people can't do. Well, that starts here. That starts with me and showing
exactly.
them what it is and not saying the words, but actually doing the actions. And again, I'm in a trench, dude. Like I'm I'm trying every little thing and off the handle one day, other days I can take a breath and be like, nope, not we're not gonna raise the
Exactly.
voice. We're not gonna raise the temperature. Let's
Right,
keep
but
it
that's a
down.
process. That's a
It's a
process
huge
that
process. Absolutely.
you learn that. Okay, is this something I need to blow up about? No, it's not. Okay, so I can take a breath and just be calm in the moment, and all right, guys, we're good. Nobody died. Something got broken. It's not the end of the world. You
Well, in
know.
that playbook that you have from your parents, and again, no shade at our parents, right? The more and more I parented, the more and more I realized they just did the best they could with what they had
They
at the
had
time they had it.
yes,
That's it.
yeah,
That's what we're trying to do. But we just happen to be in an age where I can have community now with other men that are raising daughters that we can bounce things off of each other. Even if I don't come over and ask Mike, what, hey man, help me. If I go and listen to Mike's podcast, I'm like, oh, he's already dealt with that problem. Let me try what he tried. We may not have had the conversation, but I
But
heard it
right, but there's resources out there.
in
And
his
I can tell you
resources.
right now, I would have loved to have this opportunity that we're doing right now
Right.
25 years ago,
Right.
because I had zero resources on how to be a father and how to be good at it. My
Right.
parents, listen, my parents are phenomenal people, no shade. We always had the things that we needed, but my parents they're old school, they were providers, where I grew up in a time where kids didn't have conversations with their
Mm-hmm.
parents. And I wanted that to be different with me and my kids, and me and my kids talk a lot, about a lot of uncomfortable things. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
telling you, as a father with girls, there are a lot of uncomfortable
Yeah.
conversations you are just not ready for.
Right.
But again, keeping your calm, keeping your cool, and being a safe space for them to land with whatever they're dealing with just means that they will come back to you again. If you fly off the handle with, and it might be some minute stuff, but you fly off the handle, I guarantee you're not going to be the person that they come and talk to when they need
Oh,
to.
no, no,
You
absolutely.
know,
And that's what we
so
want, right? We want what you're talking about now is they go off on their own, but that they want to come back.
yes,
They don't avoid coming back for whatever reason. And it it seems it seems daunting when you look at that. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna screw it up. Like I know I'm gonna do this wrong. I'm gonna do this wrong. But one thing that I found is just at every opportunity, appropriate opportunity, to be able to just be real for a minute.
yes,
Hey, listen, this is the reason that I may have gone off the handle. Right. I'll give you a perfect example. I had one we had an issue one time with, I think, some strangers, some people that we didn't know. My daughter went to their house. She knows that's not what happens. You just don't go to people's houses, right? Like I have to know who they are, where they live, like all this different things.
but you're not wrong. You're not wrong protecting your children.
Absolutely, right. Now, the one thing I learned at that moment and through some conversations is that for me, this man, fear and anxiety show up as anger, right?
Yes,
So like
me too. Me
when I
too.
talk about it, my voice is raised and I'm like, I'm not happy, right? Sitting back and looking at it in hindsight, you're like, oh, I was definitely afraid for what could have happened, anxious for what could happen if I don't, put my foot down at this moment for this particular safety issue. And once I realized that, I'm like, she's old enough. I think she needs to know that. She needs to know where that came from, as opposed to, you know, thinking that she might have done something particularly wrong. Probably didn't do anything particularly wrong. It was where my emotion was when she got the opposite emotion of what I actually wanted to show. And emotions, they're there. And we just have to figure out how to, at least me, Neanderthal, like, need to figure out how to say it. How does
Yeah,
that,
you
what,
just
what
you
does
just
that look like?
you have to learn how to emotionally regulate yourself.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Oscar, that from learned experience, that my anger has always come out because I've been emotionally afraid of something. So it comes out as anger, but it's more me being concerned or worried about something happening to my child.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and I'll give you a little background. So my oldest daughter, she was 12 years old, turning getting yes, she was 12 years old, and she purposely skipped the bus one day with her and a friend. So, long story short, they missed the bus and they decided they're going to take a shortcut to school. So, where we lived at the time, they crossed the freeway to get to their school. Well, generally, what kids were doing, where they were going under the freeway, the big drainage ditches, they were going through there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just so happened to rain that day. So, she crosses the freeway. Long story short, she gets struck by a truck. She slips and falls.
Goodness.
Fucking semi truck runs her over, breaks her
Wow.
hips. Yeah, breaks her hip. Has a huge open wound in her back. Everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
No fault of the truck driver, man. You don't expect to see a child on the freeway.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but through this accident and the 3 months that she was in the in the ICU, getting back on her feet. This shaped the father I would be for the rest of, my other kids' lives, essentially.
Absolutely.
Because now nobody can go anywhere by themselves. You got to check in every hour, you know, uh,
Right.
just everything was the screaming, the arguing, and everything. It wasn't that the kids had done something wrong. It was that if they were out of my sight for too long, something in my mind, something was wrong. Something was happening,
Felt
and I
unsafe.
wasn't there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I say that, and this again, this is something I've learned over the course of many many years, that my anger and everything has not been directly towards my kids. It's just been more fear and concern that something's going to happen and I won't be there to protect them. I won't be there to, you know, to save them from whatever they've gotten themselves into.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Well, and for me, that's looked like having the conversation with my daughters about their role in it, right? So if we realize that, I go to my daughters and say, "Hey, listen, you're not in charge or responsible for my reaction. That's not your responsibility. You're not responsible for my overreaction. You're not responsible for any of that. That's on me, right?" So I would try to make sure that they know, like, I don't blame you for me. Like, you're not the reason why I yelled. The
right,
reason I yelled is probably like what you're talking about. It's this other issue that I have specifically that made me do that. But telling them that, I make sure to either apologize. So if I raise my voice, hey, listen, didn't mean to raise my voice. My apologies. This is what I was trying to get to. Um, and there's many times where I said, hey, I'm sorry of how I approached this. I'm not sorry about what I said.
yeah,
Understand? And so making sure that my daughters understand the good communication of that. I did it wrong, but what needed to be done still got done.
right,
I'll try to do better next time.
right,
And that's that trench work, right? Like, you know, doing a couple of shovels before you're like, oh yeah, that was done incorrectly, at least
yeah,
the mode of, but needed to be done just a little bit better.
right. You are on a path that most of us older guys now wish that we had the opportunity to do things over, because you are already on the path where I wish that I was when my girls were still, really young. But
Younger,
again,
right?
this is why things like these conversations are so important, because maybe we fix other men who are struggling with the same issues. Maybe, other guys will listen to this and be like, you know what? I'm not mad about, whatever my kids do. My yelling is out of concern. And I need to figure out a way to articulate that where, you know, I don't have to be the guy running through the house kicking over shit,
Right. Yep.
because I'm scared.
Yep.
It comes out as, me being pissed off all the time, but really I'm just worried,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
and I think, we're talking about raising boys. We have to do a better job with our sons, teaching them to express themselves. And that is something I tried to make sure that I did with my boys. I don't cry, do not cry, but I always made sure that my boys had a safe place to cry,
Mm,
because I know what it's done to me to not be in touch with such an important emotion, because it's your body's way of releasing stress,
right.
when you get emotional that way. And again, I can tell you, I have probably not cried in 20 years now. When my in-laws passed away, I had friends pass away in Afghanistan, not a tear. And what that has done to me emotionally and stress wise, I can't even imagine.
Mm,
And I do not want that for my boys. I do not want them to be in a place where they don't feel that they're safe to express that emotion. And every day, I'm not saying that you want you want your teenage boy, sitting around crying at, every, Lifetime movie or whatnot. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just want them to have a safe place where if they need to cry, they can, and they feel that they won't be judged for it.
absolutely. I
So,
I can agree with that. I think there's a fine line, right? Being a father of daughters, I want to present a certain amount of stoicism in my
yeah,
house, right? And I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty much like you. I there's really nothing that gets to me to cry. I hurt myself. It just whatever. That's the way it is. But I will say that the less than handful times my oldest has seen me shed a tear, and it's
Yeah,
not ugly crying. It's just she's seen me actually get emotional. It's when I'm talking to her about how much I love her and her sisters, how much I got scared about something for them. Something we had a major incident one time and
yeah. Good for
scared the
you,
heck out of
man.
me and my wife, right?
Yeah,
And so, in contrast, we'll sit down, we'll watch a movie all as a family, and my oldest and my wife would just be bawling like it's a movie, you know, made them sad or happy,
yeah.
cry, whatever, and they're bawling it every single time. All three girls would look at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Am I supposed to? I don't.
No,
I don't know
they
what you want.
want you to cry.
I
They
don't want.
want you to be the one
I know.
crying too. My girls to this day are like, when one of us has this baby, you're just gonna cry. I'm
Yeah.
like, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah. Eh, Same thing with me. They'll say, "Hey, when I get married, are you gonna cry?" I'm like, "I don't know. We'll see. We'll see." I joke around. I say, "We'll see how much I like you that day,"
Yeah,
you
there
know.
you go.
And they laugh, but I'm like, I mean, let's be real, brother. If I see my daughter coming down the aisle about to be married, I may not have. I may have to walk out of the room. You know, God willing, I've done the work that has made her discerning and strong and just be able to choose that person that is going to care for them and empower them and do all the things that I want them
Yes.
to have, right? But still, when I look at that, odds are, I mean, I may look like a mess. You know what I mean? When I think about it, it makes me think that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can tell you, man, listen, I am, my daughters are so far all in some pretty good relationships. I'm not worried about their safety, you know, uh, good guys. And I can't, I can't ask for much more than that. You know, they've got support, they've got, somebody who genuinely cares about them. And if I'm being honest, all of them have a healthy fear of their potential future father-in-law,
Right.
because I let them know, if you put your hands on my daughter, there's a pickaxe and a shovel constantly in my truck, in my car. You know,
I don't even think
let's
you need that, brother. I'm looking
yeah
at you. You look
yeah
pretty stout. So that's
yeah
that's a good
let's
way to
not
start.
let's not be taking any long drives on dirt roads anytime soon.
Right.
Okay, it's not a good look for you.
Absolutely.
But again, man, I know you've short on time. You got to get your girl and whatnot. Listen, we have got to get together again. On a
Absolutely.
regular. Listen, I'd like to do this with you once a month if we could. Just and we're just even if we bring some other people in on the conversation. I know a bunch of guys, or just their girl dads, and they could use some advice or just some conversation. Hell,
Don't
I
threaten
mean,
me with a good time, brother.
yeah,
It
I
sounds
mean,
good to
'cause
me.
I love this, and again, man, I just want to create an atmosphere where dudes can get together, have conversation, and be honest. But like, hey, man, I'm struggling with this. I don't know how to do this. I need some help. Instead of constantly, always having to be the tough guy and not being able. I don't want to say doing it wrong. Just I don't want everybody to be questioning whether or not, if I've got a handle on this. Am I a good dad? Because that is something, I mean, I questioned, man, especially after my daughter's accident, I questioned for years, I'm a bad father because, my daughter took this risk knowing that how dangerous it was. I didn't explain to her enough how dangerous this was, you know, and so I just say, this is a great environment for more guys to get together and just, hey, even even if we spend more time talking shit about our kids, like, yeah, my son's a klutz. He fell and broke his leg and whatnot. That's just hilarious. But and I think especially being military guys, we joke about the most horrible things. You
We have
know,
a twisted sense of humor for sure.
yes, yeah. I got a buddy that I'm still talking. 10 years later, like, hey man, you owe me some dry cleaning money. Because
There
got
it
blood on my
is.
clothes. But again, having this opportunity to talk with other men, especially lately for me personally, has, I mean, man, I feel so much lighter, like just deal. just dealing with the emotional aspects of being a father. Am I doing this right? Am I doing too much of this? Am I doing not enough of this? It's been nice to have other people to talk to.
Well, that's the beauty of community.
Yeah,
You know, you mentioned something there like, not trying to be the tough guy all the time, but listen, if you want to be the tough guy, cool. Go find one of these communities. We'll help you with all the stuff that you might have issues with, and then continue to be the tough guy on the outside,
yeah,
right? Like that's what we're here for.
yeah,
And for me, like the daughter podcast and the daughter community has been that, and that's the feedback we're getting. Right? Hey, I don't need to call Oscar or whoever was on the show, but what they said is what I'm going through. And I heard them
yes,
say this is how they got
yes,
through it. Let me try that real quick. And that's the power of community, brother. That's what we're doing when we do these things. And once a month, twice a month, like if I can be a service, if I can help. You mentioned it earlier. If you had something like this
yes.
25 years ago, right? Even if you didn't have the conversation, even if you could just listen to this one dude talk about
Oh,
this one
yes,
issue, right?
yes,
You're like, hey, this is me. Like, how
yes,
you're gonna listen and you're gonna figure out how to do it. If no one else listens to the podcast or listens to me, but one dude, and that one dude, if I help that one dude become more present for their kid right there, then I've done my job.
exactly,
That's it.
exactly.
Because not only is it good for the dude to be present with their children, like I hate how much I was not present with my first couple of kids, like really present, right? But I also realized once I got out of my own me feeling, I also realized how much I robbed them of my presence. And I want to make sure that if we can help one dude realize the importance of him as a father and to
Yes,
be present, then we've done our job. That's it.
exactly.
We're good. And
We
we'll
just
keep going to see if we can
making it
find the next.
better one dad at a time.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So, all right, Oscar, I know you got to get your girl and whatnot. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Oscar Pena, host of the Daughter Podcast. Guys, check him out. It's an education. Oscar said it best. He's not forcing his points of views on anybody. He's just a dad talking to other dads about raising daughters and being present. You know, I advise you to check it out. Great show. Oscar, thank you so much for coming on the show. We have got to get together again. I mean, like I said, we'll talk offline and see what we can do, man. I love this. This was probably one of my favorite conversations, ever, as a recent date. So again, Oscar, thanks for coming on the show. We'll have you back again soon.
Hey, Michael, thank you so much for having me on here, dude. This was a blast. I appreciate you so much.
No, absolutely. God bless. Take care of yourself. Love them girls every day.
We'll do.
All right.